It is time for one of my absolute favorite videos to film, if not my favorite video to film, and that is reveal day for Singe Beauty. If you didn't know, Singe Beauty is my own indie brand. I am the founder and the owner, and I am so excited to be sharing with you the new collection that we are releasing this Friday. I will give you all the details, the launch details, and I will also do 2 different looks with this new palette that is coming out, and I am so excited. I've been working on this for such a long time, and this is a very near and dear project to my heart. And it's because we're doing an eyeshadow palette, and as you can see, it's a little bit of a different size. I'm trying out something new, and this is based on Norse mythology and folklore, which also makes me very excited because, again, if you didn't know, I'm Swedish. And then we're releasing something that so many of you have clocked me on, and that is half lashes. I've been working on these lashes for I think a year and a half. Honestly, I've been working on lashes for probably 2 years. But I've been working with this manufacturer for about a year and a half, and it takes a really long time to perfect something, or maybe I'm just taking a really long time perfecting something, but I have not been listing my lashes for a really long time, and most of you have been guessing, is that because Singe is coming out with lashes? And yes, we are. I am coming out with 3 different kinds. Should we get into the details? Like I said, this is launching on Friday on the Singe Beauty website. I do sell Singe Beauty also at I Feel Beautiful, which is a Canadian retailer, and also at Monolith, which is an EU reseller. But I'm not sure if they're going to have all the pieces. It is up to these stores themselves to decide what do they want to purchase, how much do they want to purchase, and do they want to restock or not. And I know sometimes people tell me, oh, you need to restock this and that. That is out of my, that's not something that I can control. You're gonna have to take that up with them. But these are gonna be the products that we are gonna be launching. And like I said, everything will be available at the Singe Beauty website. It's gonna be noon Central Time this Friday. All the details and the pricing are gonna be down in the description box, so check that for more info. And of course, also at the Singe Beauty Instagram, we're going to be showing you so much beautiful material. I have so much prepared, I cannot wait. So we're actually launching 3 different kinds of half lashes, and if you didn't know, half lashes they have so many benefits. First of all, they're much easier to apply because it's not as long of a strip. They're also much easier to manipulate and make them fit your eye shape. And I also worked extra hard to make mine even easier to fit your eye perfectly. And also, if you're like me, I'm 42, if you have like a little bit of an aging eyelid, you probably have noticed, and I've taken great measures, that's why it's taken this so long, to make lashes that will flatter a hooded eye and an aging eye as well. Have you tried lashes and you realize that they're too long and they poke up at the end? Maybe you realize that they're too curled and they kind of just disappeared into your hood, or they're poking you in your hood and making them feel uncomfortable. These lashes have a little bit less of a curve so that they will fit people who have hooded eyes or more aging eyes, or that maybe have been struggling with lashes before. Also, these 3 different lashes, I named them after some like micro trends that have been going on, and I thought that would be just, I'm just out here having a good time naming stuff. So it made it really easy for me to, if I want to come up with more styles, if you love these, if you want to see more, but I tried to make 3 different styles that I thought would fit everyone in different styles. So there are 3 styles. All of them will come in individual packaging, and as you can see, this is like the Singe Beauty packaging. I think they're absolutely beautiful. So there's going to be a Whimsigoth lash, which is what I'm wearing today. This one has an invisible band, and it's like wispy clusters giving you that doll eye effect. The invisible band is a little bit more fragile than the ones that have a fabric brand, but these are still pretty sturdy lashes, and I've been able to use mine more than 15 times, so definitely these are reusable. And then we have the Office Siren, which is the most dramatic lash. This has a fabric band, very crisscrossy style. This one is a little bit shorter than the other 2 because the other 2 I made specifically so that you could alter them if you wanted them to be a little bit shorter or if you wanted to wear them longer. I want these to be easy to use. But this one is very tapered. It is like flared outwards, crisscrossy, volumey style. And then we have Stealth Well, which is also a little bit of a spiky, almost like more of a natural lash, not as much of a flare, and it also has clusters, which makes it really easy if you want to shorten the length of these 2 that have clusters. It's very easy because you know exactly how much to take off. 1 cluster, 2 clusters, making it very easy to get them to be as evenly long and not accidentally cut off like too much. That's why I made two of these lashes that are a smidgen longer than the Office Siren. I made them in clusters, so it's very easy to make customizable. Everything to make this as easy as possible to use. And in the tutorial portion of this video, I will be showing applying these lashes and giving you some tips and tricks in case that's something you need. These are foam ink. They have volume to them and they're a little bit wispy. They're definitely not that plasticky feel. They do look like real mink lashes, but they're definitely vegan, cruelty-free foam ink lashes. So vegan, handmade lashes that are reusable, and like I said, 3 different styles, $13 each. But I also wanted to make a pack. If you wanted to try each 3 of these lashes, you get 1 of each lash in this pack, a 3-pack for $30, quite a discount. And again, it's just all the lashes and all the information on the back like the other one, and it just gets 1 of each lash. So if you are into lashes, you want to try all 3 of these, you want to get the more natural one, you want to get the more dramatic one, you want to get the more like in-between lash, this is definitely the one for you. It's going to be $30 for all 3 of them. And all 3 of these, like I said, can be reused so many times. I knew I wanted to make lashes because I am such a big fan of lashes, but I also knew I wanted to make lashes that were easy to use, easy to apply, easy to reuse, and easy to like store in a tray like this. I didn't want to make anything bulky, so that if you wanted to travel with it, or if you don't have a lot of space, some of these lash boxes are pretty large. And I also wanted to make sure that they're not too curved so they don't get stuck in the hood, because I've had that problem with some lashes. So they're comfortable and easy to apply and easy to wear and just fits with every look. So I am so proud of those lashes. I've been, like I said, wearing those for a really long time, and it took me a really long time to find the right lab, the right everything. It just, I don't know if there's been something that I worked on so long as lashes, but I'm really happy with this. So enough of lashes, let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. This is the Huldra, which is the Huldra is like a forest spirit in the Swedish folklore. She is a beautiful lady that men will find her wandering the woods alone, or she will meet you at there were always like men guarding the charcoal kilns in the forest by themselves. The Huldra would come and she would seduce them, beguile them, she would entrance them. Sometimes she would straight up trick them, seducing them, luring them away, sometimes driving them mad, sometimes straight up, you know, it was kind of a forest guardian. But if it was said, if you are a man and you met a woman in the woods, you should look at her back, because she was a beautiful woman in the front, but in the back she was a hollow and rotten tree trunk. So you would try to get, you know, to see her back, to see if she was like gonna trick you away and your story was just not gonna have a happy ending. And she also had a hidden tail. This packaging is just so stunning. I feel like the artist really was able to take the concepts that I have and just make it into this beautiful palette. And I also wanted to make this the mix between Nordic folklore and a tarot card. So that's actually the idea that I gave him when I had this idea. I had this color story made about a year ago, and then I actually had the idea for the Huldra palette in a waiting room, waiting for my flights when we were in Hawaii. I remember it so much because we were at the airport at Hawaii, and I was like, oh my God, I know what I want this palette to be. I want it to be the Huldra. I want it to be just honoring my Swedish heritage, and also this story that my dad and my grandmother used to tell me when I was a kid about, like, you know, be wary of the spirit creatures. I am so excited that I'm able to bring this. So this is going to be the first time that we're doing a 20 pan palette. So far we've only been doing 16 pan palettes, and I will make more of those. I'm definitely not stopping, but I always knew that I wanted to make different kinds of palettes. So this palette will not open up, it will open to the side instead. It still will have, this is the color story, it still will have a big mirror, the way that we always have big mirrors in the Singe Beauty palettes. These are very high quality palettes, definitely not a fun house mirror. You can definitely use this one to do your makeup or if you're traveling. And this is going to be then 4 times 5, 20 different shadows. This palette is then of course going to be a little bit more expensive than the palettes we usually have. All of our other palettes are going to be $45 each. This one is going to be $52 each. And it's because we have a couple of extra shadows. I knew making this color story that I wanted to make the kind of palette as a colorful lover, I sometimes look at palettes and I say, oh, that's like the perfect in-between palette. A palette that someone who loves neutrals will look at it and be like, that's a colorful palette. And vice versa, someone who loves colors like me will look at this and be like, that's like a neutral palette. So this is a very earthy, down to like grounded palette with greens and browns, very neutral in the undertones. We have the greens, we have some browny greens here that are very like dirty, mucky greens, but not too warm. Then we have some mauves and plums, and we have browns, more of the neutral tones. I also experimented with some deeper shimmers in here because I know that's something that I don't always use and do for myself, but I want Singe to be able to have a little bit of everything, and I'm so excited about this color story because I really think that it speaks to the kind of palette that I would reach for when we're doing a neutral palette. Speaking of, I've been getting at least, I would say at least 5 to 10 questions every week asking me, when is the restock for Paisley Hoot? You know, the neutral palette? This Friday. Together with this collection, we will also be restocking the Paisley Hoot. So if you were interested in the Paisley Hoot, that one is also coming back on Friday. So this one, the Paisley Hoot, and the lashes are coming on Friday. So this one has 12 mattes, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sparkly metallics. I love a good sparkly metallic. I have specifically made my metallic and shimmery shadows to be crease resistant because I've had so much problem with creasing, especially with indie shadows. I feel like sometimes they swatch so beautifully, they're so emollient, but they just do not wear on me and they will crease. I don't want to say immediately, but sometimes it's been like within the hour. So I made a very a big effort to make the Singe Beauty eyeshadows as crease resistant as possible. So you are gonna get longevity for sure. Then we have a multi-chrome, and this is the shadow that's called Huldra. And this multi-chrome is a green, like a neutral grassy green like this, going to a bronze, going to almost this like coppery rose gold that you see here. Very beautiful, goes really well with this palette. You also have a duochrome here. Listen, I think we should, the return of duochromes. I love a good duochrome. This one is a plum to a blue. It has a little bit of pink in it as well. Absolutely stunning. I love a duochrome like this. I will show you that in the first look here. And then we also have an iridescent topper over here, which has more of a clear base. It is what I have in the middle of my eye here. And then it has a light, almost pastel pea green sheen to it. It's a very, very stunning. I love those iridescent shades. It just makes for so much variation and just contrast and all of that. You know, I love a palette that goes from really light to really dark. This palette does that as well. I just feel like it brings the most versatility and the most ways for you to do a lot of contrast in your look. There is, like I said, some like greeny browns down here and some more neutral browns up here. There is a rose gold shimmer and then there's a beige shimmer. These are probably the best neutral shades that I've ever seen. Like I'm so proud of these because they're so sparkly and so luscious, and I absolutely love them. There's also a blackened green here. It's like an almost black green that I think is absolutely stunning. Overall, I'm just very, very proud of this palette. I think it is stunning, and I'm so excited about how this turned out. And having this like vision and being able to like execute it, I feel very proud. I feel proud of this palette, proud of this project, and like I said, I'm so excited that Paisley Hoot is coming back as well. Let me see, I have it here. So this is my Paisley Hoot. This is the one that I have been using and abusing. So, oh, actually mine looks pretty clean. I think I cleaned it before we moved. So this one is also making a comeback on Friday. This was the other neutral palette that I had. This is like, you can see the difference between the 16 and the 20 pan. You can see it's not that much of a difference. I just added a row down here. My palettes are very sturdy. The packaging is very sturdy, and I'm really happy about the matte touch that we have, but they're also not bulky. I don't want to make them unnecessarily big or bulky. I think it's better to have something that is just like, you know, the shadows and not too much extra frills, because I think it makes it easier for, you know, storing and using. They're not so heavy that you can't hold it up when you're doing your makeup and all those things. So very proud of this collection. I'm very excited to see what other people are going to be doing with this one. We do have quite the extensive PR list, and I'm hoping that the people who get it will enjoy it so we can see their take on it as well. definitely check out Singe Beauty's Instagram. We will be sharing much more about the launch over there, pictures, videos, all of those things. So definitely don't forget to check them out as well. And thank you so much for being here and for the support. All the details about the launch that is happening this Friday. It's going to be noon Central Standard Time. I'm still doing the launch in American time zones, even though I'm right now located in Italy. The warehouse is still in the US, so the orders will be shipped out of the US. If you're living in the US and you're wondering, where is it? My orders are still being shipped out from the US. The warehouse is still in the US. So hopefully you will like this launch. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Be nice. I worked really hard on this one, and I'm just very excited. I'm very excited to finally have this out in the world, because this is such a near and dear project to my heart, again, because it is like a folk tale from my upbringing, something that I've been told when I was a kid, like beware of the Huldra, but especially if you're a man, beware of the Huldra. So very excited about this one. There's going to be 2 looks now that I did with this palette, but I have also filmed more looks in short form, and I will for sure be filming more looks here in long form as well. Just please let me know what you would like to see. Give me your thoughts down below. Be nice, and let's get in to the looks. Okay, first look, and I want to create something with the duochrome. So I'm gonna start with Shapeshifter, which is that like really dark, warm, purpley, plummy shade, and I am gonna start by building this up in the outer corner and a little bit in the outer part of the crease. I'm starting with the dark color so we can get this as pigmented and as dark as possible. And as you can tell, this one goes really dark. Now that we've come to this, I'm just gonna be buffing a little bit on the edge, blending it out before I smoothen the edges out even more with the mauve. So now we're doing the shade Bad Luck, and I am gonna put that on the edge, and we are gonna be blending, blending, blending. I'm trying to make the edges look somewhat blended, but I also don't want to stare at perfection for too long, because it really isn't that deep. We're just here to have a good time. And let me go in with an E11 pencil brush and just do the same on the lower lash line too. This is when we're going to go in with Temptress, which is the duochrome. I'm applying this with a very flat E09 to really get a smooth texture on the lid, and I kind of want to cover the entirety of the lid so we can really get that duochrome action going. I don't apply it all the way into the outer corner though. I love keeping that part like matte and dark, so I'm reapplying some of the Shapeshifter to make sure that that part stays dark for definition. Then for even more definition, I'm going in with EO7, and I'm really packing Shapeshifter on like the outer half of the lash line to really define and make that dark and smoky. I'm gonna do a little bit of Entrance in my inner corner just to brighten this up a little bit. And then I think I am gonna do, of course, some lashes, clearly. But I'm also thinking, wouldn't this be such a good look with a little bit of Prance in the waterline? Saying. So I'm gonna put on the Office Siren lashes. I have used these before, so I'm just gonna pull these out of the tray. I'm gonna take the glue off, and I'm gonna put those on. As you can tell, the glue has changed color, so we are gonna be putting this one on. This one is longer on this side, so it's going on this eye, and I am gonna be bending it. You see what I'm doing? I'm touching it very lightly. Don't be aggressive with your lashes, but I'm like bending and wiggling it a little bit, just making it a little bit easier to maneuver. This is gonna be hard without my normal mirror, but I'm putting it on where I want it, and I always attach the outer part first, and I let the glue dry down, which means when I attach it, it's gonna like kind of stay there, which is what I want. So the outer part is where I want it, and then I bring a little bit of a tweezer and I attach the inner part. I grab it and I put it down in the inner part. And while this is like drying in a little bit, because you need these to like goo up each other, I kind of press under to press my lashes into the lashes and to lift them a little bit. So I just press in like this. And then I go in with the tweezers again and I just squeeze them together to get the gap to disappear. And then especially in the inner part. It's important to press them together and make sure they look good. And there we are, lash on one side, no lash on the other. I mean, it looks good without and with, but I love a good lash, and these are just clearly my favorite. I made them. Well, if it isn't the first look with the Huldra palette, but I've filmed more looks. I probably said that in the beginning of the video, and they will be short form soon. I filmed a couple of neutral looks as well, but this is the first long form that I'm filming, and I'm so excited. And I'm so excited that I was able to do something with the like duochrome, like plummy, because again, this palette definitely is neutrals meets colors, but a little bit more muted, a little bit more earthy. But I wanted to show that you can definitely go, you can go very dramatic with this palette if you want to, but you definitely can go colorful if you want to as well. And if you want this to show up even more purple, you can put some of the purple underneath the duochrome, because it will let a little bit of the color shine through. I love colors like that because they're so adaptable and you're able to do so many things with it. I hope you enjoy the look. I hope you really like it. Now let's get into the second one, because I definitely want to do something with the greens. Okay, we're gonna do a green look, and I want to do a little bit of a halo eye. So I'm gonna start with Forest Spirit, and I am gonna be green nails for a green look, and I am gonna start mapping out a little bit of the halo. So on an E10, I'm gonna start with putting some shadow in my outer corner. This is the Forest Spirit, and I'm just packing some on to have in the outer corner, and I'm gently flicking it outwards, not so much upwards, more outwards. I like creating a little bit of a diagonal, because I feel like, especially with my eyelids starting to droop a little bit with age, I feel like this technique really helps lift the eye. And then same shade in the inner part too, not too high. Just pushing it in with the E10 and just wiggling it into the crease, the fold, but not too high. Something like that. We're gonna go into the shadow Guardian, and we're just gonna put this a little bit. Oh, I really like the undertone of this shade. It's such a nice, just like muted neutral green. I'm just such a big fan. And we are gonna be just brushing this on the edges and just lighting them up a little bit and just blending out the edges a little bit. I'm also brushing a little bit of that in the middle here, just to carry some of the light green. And I'm gonna be brushing that light green a little bit further out here. I'm also gonna do the same on a Singe pencil brush under the eyes, but I'm not leaving, you can see I'm not leaving a gap in the middle of my eye. I am following the entire lash line with the darker of the two, and then blending it out with Guardian, the lighter of the two. So this is where we are right now. You could quite honestly put anything now in the middle of the eye. You can put a matte light, you can put a shimmer light shade from the palette, and you'd be totally good to go. But I'm gonna go in with a little bit of charcoal kiln, which is the blackened green, and I am gonna deepen up this look even more with the EO7, which is just such a detailed little brush. And I'm putting it, you can see it's really deepening up the look, but still keeping it green. And I'm putting it just closest to the lash line. That's why this detail brush is so great, so it doesn't become too much. And same here, I'm just gonna put it closest to the lash line. I'm not even gonna blend that part out, but here I'm just gonna blend the edge a little bit and make it a little bit bigger. And then we're connecting the upper lash line and the lower lash line. It's such an important step. And I'm going in with the brush that had the middle green, and now I'm just blending all of this together. And you can tell it's much smokier and more detailed and like defined on this eye. And it's just giving even more drama, and it's gonna give us even more contrast when we put the shimmer on. So we're gonna put a shimmer here, but you could definitely do a matte. So we have Seducing, which is the warmer one, and then we have Wish, which is the iridescent green one that has a little bit of a transparent base, so we let the shadows peek through. And I think we're actually gonna do the lighter one for this look. But of course, this one would go so well. This is probably my favorite shimmer in the palette because it's this really wonderful warm green that's very like light and bright and shimmery, but I think we're gonna do Wish this time. So we're gonna start in the middle and we are just gonna pack it on in the middle of the eye to get it to be as like dramatic as possible, and then we will shear it out towards the edges. So I'm shearing it out once I get up here, and I'm also shearing it out over the green, and you can see the green is like peeking through. I might even use some of the dark green to like, I got a little fallout, to like really help. So we will go in with the EO7 again, and we'll use the dark shimmery green that's called Temptation, and I'll just put a little bit of that on the edge. You could tell, not too much, and that's again why this like detail brush really comes in handy, because I'll just put a little bit on the edge to make everything flow together. For this look, we're going to be using the Whimsigoth lashes, which are more cluster lashes on a see-through band. These will create a little bit more of a longer, wispier effect, not only towards the end, but also a little bit in the middle, giving a little bit of like a doe-eyed look. Since these are more in clusters, they're very easy to make shorter if you don't want them to be this long. Depending on how big our eyes are, for some people, these are going to be full strip lash. For some people, they're going to be a half lash. For me, for them to be a perfect half lash for me, I need to take off one cluster. And since these are in clusters, and I really did spend a lot of time thinking about this, it makes it very easy to take off the same amount on both of the lashes. One cluster on one side, one cluster on the other side. Remember to always take off a cluster at the part that's going to be at the outer end, otherwise it's going to look a little wonky because you do need a little bit of a tapering. This one is going on this side, so I'm going to take a cluster off at the outer side. One cluster is off, and now I'm going to put on some glue. Make sure to get the glue a little bit tacky. Give it a couple of minutes to like dry down. These can be reused many times. Be careful when you take them off so you don't rip anything, and just put them back into the packaging. This little tray comes with a lid on top, and you can just use these up to 15 times. I sometimes have used them even more. Remember that these lashes that have a clear band are a little bit more fragile than the one that have the textile band, so be extra careful when you reuse them. Okay, putting the glue on, and I'm gonna let it sit for a couple of minutes, 2, 3, 4, so that it changes color from this white and becomes tacky, because that's gonna make everything so much easier. Just as I did with the other lash, I start with securing the outer part. Once the outer part is secured, I'll bring out the little tweezer, and I will pull the inner part and secure that one too. I'm gonna let this dry a little bit more before I like tweeze them together, but I'm gonna do exactly as I did in look number 1. But this is the lash on one eye versus no lash on the other eye. And I just think that this is such a beautiful lash to give you that open, airy, fluffy, like doll-eyed look, because it doesn't give you very voluminous and thick lashes, and it's perfect for looks like this when you're doing a halo eye, to give you the lift, to give you the drama, but still have that beautiful shadow peeking through. So I'm gonna finish up the look and brush my hair, and we'll have a final chat about the look. Clearly, I will be showing you the Stealth Wealth lashes in action as well, and not just in this video. I did 2 looks for this video, but like I said in the beginning, I have filmed even more looks. And of course, I have a pretty extensive PR list, so hopefully there's gonna be more inspiration coming to you from different creators with different aesthetics and different preferences and skin tones and ages. So hopefully I'll be able to share as many of those as possible on the Singe Beauty Instagram. So don't forget to follow us at Singe Beauty, and don't forget to check the description box for all the details about the launch that is happening this Friday. I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. This has been in the works for quite some time, and I'm so happy that we're finally here at reveal day and I'm able to show you everything. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, leave a like, and remember there are different ways to support a brand. We are still a small indie brand, and if you want to just support us by following us on Instagram, maybe sharing our post, maybe sharing this video, that is also highly appreciated. And thank you so much for all the positive feedback and all the great comments that we have gotten through our journey. I cannot believe we are like so far into like the journey of Singe. I am having the best time, and thank you again so much for the support. Okay, check the description box for more info, and I'll see you on launch day on Friday.